early childhood.
John Ward has also invented a snow machine, hoping to make an inroad into the Arctic market. He's also come up with a personal irrigation system based on an old lavatory cistern. It enables John to water the lawn. He works in a shed behind the house, using the rubbish other people throw away for his Heath Robinson contraptions. John, have you welded professionally?
No, not really, no. It's an acquired art, it's a bit like stitching really, isn't it? All I'm doing is sewing metal together, whereupon you'd be getting material and you'd be sewing it together, so... I don't do all my own frocks, I'll admit, but, you know, it's just one of them things in life.
Something for the legion of ladies conscious of the curse of the early morning cold bra. A safety net for yo-yos. And here's a solution to the age-old window cleaner's problem, how to stop the bike being nicked when you're up the ladder. A test for eccentricity has just been devised at Edinburgh University.
Tonight I will be talking about eccentrics based on a 10-year research study on eccentrics in...
Dr. David Weeks is a psychologist who's interviewed over 1,000 oddballs during the course of his research project and claims to have produced the first scientific definition of eccentricity.
There's a great deal of creativity among many eccentrics, not always successful, but there's creativity there. But the major motivation is curiosity.
Much of Dr. Weeks' research to be published next week has come from watching the box. Like the man who drove his tank to the High Court in London. Devon's Anne Atkins protesting to protect her gnomes. The Oxfordshire man with a shark in the roof. More rooftop fish, this time in Croydon. And in Huddersfield lives a man best known as Manglewurzel.
There's no one particular type. What they share is the central features of creativity, curiosity, an unusual sense of humor, and the central nonconformity, sometimes amounting almost to rebelliousness, but the rebelliousness is taken with good grace. It's not too severe, and it's never antisocial. These are very harmless people by and large.
Do you accept that you're an eccentric?
I mean, until I was classed as eccentric, I never thought about it. I naturally thought eccentric was a disease or something. But I don't know, I've never really thought about it. I don't waste my time thinking about things like that. If I was to get up every morning and simply say, well, you know, what do I think to myself? You know, I think I'd be, you know, I'd be gone, I'd be bonkers.
Is the eccentricity something that they can't help, or is it something that they try to achieve?
I think the primary reason why eccentrics become the way they become is because of the way they think, which of course you can't see overtly. So the stereotype of an eccentric person looking differently is probably wrong. Many of them probably look just as normal as you and I.
Longleat in Wiltshire.
As a limb
For 400 years the home of Lord Bath's family.
remain.
Unlike his predecessors, Lord Bath is a painter, musician, writer and Wessex regionalist. He's not exactly what you expect of aristocracy, and he's celebrated in the tabloids for his 57 wifelets, at the last count. Now, if you're poor and act strangely, you might be thought of as a bit mad. But if you're rich, why, you're eccentric. Lord Bath, or Alexander as you've asked me to call you, do you think you're an eccentric?
No, I've never had that image of myself. It's been put on me, even from sort of school days. I've had the word used. I've always used the word individualistic. Come down next.
Longleat opens its doors to 400,000 visitors every year so the public can enjoy the majesty of its state rooms. But Alexander's private apartments are rather different.
So, Lord Bath, would you say that it's been quite a challenge for you to assert your individuality and to be eccentric?
We asked the 7th Marquis if he'd agreed to be tested for eccentricity by Dr. Weeks. They talked about his youthful rebellion and how he expresses himself through his highly personal and idiosyncratic paintings.
My image of myself to prevail. Well, if one sort of thinks of the one at the end there, that is the automational problems of future art, and I'm running through a day. It's like a pile of television sets. There's sort of things like
Characters are marked on certain criteria. Lord Bath scored well on intelligence, nonconformity, imagination, and for being opinionated and outspoken. He wanted to show Dr. Weeks his parents' portraits in the paranoia room.
That one was rather pushing me towards doing eventually a paranoia mural where I treat deliberately grotesque, frightening images in a way that relates to my persecution mania, which was stronger than it was now.
He got high marks too for his idealism, his sense of humour and his unusual living arrangements. Tell us about your views of Lord Bath.
I think that from my observations of Lord Bath, he showed many of the distinguishing factors of an eccentric.
Do you mind being perceived as an eccentric?
Well, it depends the tone of voice it's said in and whether it's said in affection or as a criticism of a balmy person.
If Lord Bath does fill the bill, so does Prince Charles, according to Dr. Weeks. Lawrence of Arabia is also on the list. And the off-screen Charlie Chaplin, and one of the great brains of the 20th century, Albert Einstein.
Eccentric people, because they have very low stress and are indubitably very happy, are supernormal. They're more normal than normal in many respects.
Yeah, so, like I say, it came up, it was blinding inspiration, really. I just got fed up in the long run looking around for somewhere to stop for a cup of tea, so I thought, why not take it with me? The flask idea, I mean, it's a bit prehistoric, really, isn't it? So I thought to myself, well, why not?